I started working with the Japanese Space Agency more than 20 years ago. At that time, the Japanese station module project started. So it has taken so many people and so much hard work to come to this point. And I'm very happy being a part of this project from the beginning. It is almost the realization of the dream I have had since I became an astronaut.
Have you had an opportunity to actually train with that piece of hardware? I mean, actually go to Japan or KSC, or have you had an opportunity to actually use the actual piece of hardware that's going to be flown on STS-123?
Oh, yeah. So we are trained both in Japan, also in KSC also. So the logistics module was transferred to KSC a couple of years ago, and so we have been checking the hardware since it arrived at the KSC. So we know everything about inside the hardware, also outside. And in Japan, we have a mock-up of this Kibo logistics module. So we will have been doing many work inside, assembling a kind of a rack inside, or removing items from the rack, or reconfiguration of the rack. So we have been doing various training in Japan.
So you actually traveled to Japan. Speaking of Japan, what do you think the importance is of Kibo to Japan and the Japanese people?
I can say that this is a small step for me, but a giant leap for the Japanese manned space program. This is the first piece of the Japanese space station module, and actually the logistics module is the first manned space facility Japan has ever launched. So I can say that with this mission, real Japanese manned space program can begin. We are facing many challenges, but with even greater rewards by opening the opportunity for Japanese people to go to space more freely.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the mission now. On flight day 2, the orbiter is surveyed for any damage that may have occurred during launch. Give us a brief overview of the survey process, what you're looking for, and tell us what your responsibilities are during that survey.
Okay. We are using the shuttle robotic arm and the orbiter boom sensor system, or OBSS, to survey the external part of the shuttle for any damage. The OBSS is a Canadian-made boom, which is as long as the shuttle robotic arm itself. Also, the end of OBSS is equipped with various sensor systems and cameras, which can detect any damage as small as 1/10 of an inch. And we are going to start the survey on Friday 2. And first, we are going to examine the starboard side of the shuttle. Then we are going to the nose cap, and then finishing a survey on the port side of the shuttle. It's going to take about 6 hours to complete. So it's a very long and delicate operation.
After the orbiter docks with the International Space Station, the hatch between the two vehicles opens, and you'll be welcomed aboard the International Space Station. Then you and your fellow crew members are going to be given a safety briefing. As a visitor to the ISS, what do you plan to do those next few moments once you're on board the ISS?
Yes, I'm very happy to greet our space hosts, the Space Station Commander Peggy Whitson and Yuri Marchenko and Leo Eichertz. then I would like to explore the space station because this is my first time to be on board the station. I would like to get to know every part of the station first because this is going to be my home in space for the next 10 days. Then after that, I like to check my flying skills in zero gravity.
Okay. Well, as we talked earlier, Flight Day 4 ushers in the first of several spacewalks during this mission. During those spacewalks, the Kibo Logistics Module and Dexter will both be transferred from the temporary home inside the orbiter's cargo bay to become part of the ISS. If you could, maybe describe in a little more detail the process for transferring the Kibo Logistics Module to the ISS. We talked about your responsibilities earlier, but this is a fairly automated process that you're going to be monitoring. Could you explain how that's going to work?
Yeah, I explained this a little bit about this work before, but I'm going to explain that again. So when we unberth the Kibo Logistics Module first from the shuttle payload bay, we are going to do that, operate arm manually. And as I said, that Dom and I will be watching and make sure that the Kibo and any part of the robot arm will not hit any structure inside the payload bay. And then we are lifting the logistics module about 5 feet away from the payload bay. Then we are going to use the computer control mode to transfer the logistics module on top of Node 2. It's a very complicated process and it's very difficult to fly manually, although we are trained to do manually in case we cannot use a computer mode. But by using a computer mode, it makes our job easier. Just we are checking the camera views and the window views, make sure that it's not gonna hit any structure of the space station. Then once the computer puts the logistics module closer to the Node 2 Genius PCBM, ACBM port, then we are going into the final stage. Here we are operating the arm manually again, and the margin of error is very small for this final berthing process. So I have to fly the arm very precisely along the berthing corridor.
Will you have some assistance from your crewmates that'll be involved with this EVA-1?
Yeah. Well, this this flight day for operation is very complex. So Dom and I will be operating the shuttle arm, try to install the GEM Kibo logistic module. Also on the flight deck, the Mike is talking to the EVA crew members, and during this EVA-1, Rick Linehan and Garrett Reisman are working outside. So two our crew members are working outside, and Mike is kind of conducting this EVA operation, and Dom and I are working also on the flight deck, operating the arm.
You talked earlier about rendezvous and docking. Mm-hmm. What are your responsibilities during rendezvous and docking?
Dom Gorey and Box Johnson on flight deck. The Dom is flying the shuttle, and Box is taking care of all the shuttle systems. And I am kind of a timekeeper, so I am calling out any steps in the rendezvous or docking procedure, make sure that Dom and Box are doing their jobs correctly. So this is really a teamwork work.
Can you tell us your involvement with the RPM? What is the RPM and what is your involvement?
Okay, RPM stands for Arbor Pitch Maneuver. This is a